The Skeptic's Discovery. The crystalline structures of Sirian-7 gleamed under the triple suns as Dr. Zara Nexval adjusted her scanner for the 100th time that day. Her 6 delicate appendages worked in perfect synchronization, a testament to her species' evolutionary perfection. The Velnari were, after all, considered the most intellectually advanced race in the Galactic Confederation. "Another dead world," she muttered, her translucent wings flickering with annoyance. "Another waste of resources chasing phantom stories." Her research assistant, Crix, shuffled nervously beside her. The young Thrakari's scales shifted to a muted blue, indicating uncertainty. "But doctor, the energy signatures clearly showed." "Energy signatures can be explained by natural phenomena," Zara interrupted, her voice carrying the weight of academic authority. "Just as every supposed human artifact we've investigated has turned out to be nothing more than unusual mineral formations or defunct mining equipment from known species." For 3 standard cycles, Zara had made it her mission to debunk the ridiculous myths surrounding humanity. The stories were preposterous. A species that could survive in almost any environment, heal from grievous wounds, and achieve feats of strength and endurance that defied biological possibility. Pure fantasy, she had argued in her widely cited paper, The Human Myth, a study in galactic folklore. The entire academic community had applauded her systematic dismantling of human legends, tales of humans consuming substances toxic to every other known species for pleasure, stories of humans bonding with predatory creatures as companions, accounts of humans surviving in the vacuum of space for minutes without protection, all thoroughly disproven by Dr. Zara Nexval's rigorous scientific analysis. "Doctor," Crix's excited chirp broke through her thoughts. "I'm detecting something unusual beneath the crystal formation." Zara sighed, her bioluminescent patches pulsing with skepticism. "Let me guess, another human bunker that will turn out to be a natural cave system." But as she directed her scanner toward the indicated location, her skepticism wavered. The readings were unlike anything she'd encountered before. The metal composition matched no known alloy in the Confederation database, and the energy patterns. "Impossible," she whispered. Beneath layers of crystal growth lay a perfectly preserved structure. Not the crude architecture of a mining operation or the organic curves of a natural formation, but something deliberately crafted with a level of precision that made her analytical mind race. The excavation took several hours, Zara's initial reluctance giving way to scientific curiosity. As they cleared away the final layers of crystal, she found herself staring at a metallic door bearing symbols that sent an involuntary shiver through her exoskeleton. The writing was unmistakably human. "It's probably a replica," she said quickly, more to convince herself than Crix. "Some species' idea of a practical joke. The humans have been gone for over 400 standard years." But her appendages trembled slightly as she interfaced with the door's control panel. To her surprise, it responded immediately, ancient systems humming to life with an efficiency that defied their age. The door slid open with a soft hiss, revealing a chamber filled with equipment that made both scientists step back in awe. Holographic displays flickered to life, showing star charts and data streams in the distinctive angular script of humanity. At the chamber's center sat a cylindrical device, roughly the size of a Velnari hibernation pod, but this was no simple stasis chamber. Complex circuitry ran along its surface, pulsing with a faint blue energy that seemed to bend light itself. "What is it?" Crix asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Zara approached cautiously, her scanner working overtime to process the flood of data. "It appears to be some kind of beacon, but the technology is. I've never seen anything like it. The power source alone defies our understanding of physics." As she reached out to examine the device more closely, her appendage accidentally brushed against a raised panel. Immediately, the chamber erupted with blinding light. Alarms that had been silent for centuries screamed to life, and the cylindrical device began to pulse with increasing intensity. "We need to leave," Crix shouted over the noise, his scales now a bright red of alarm. But Zara stood transfixed as the device projected a massive hologram into the air above them. Star charts expanded outward, showing the local system, then the sector, then regions of space the Confederation had never mapped. And through it all, a signal, a powerful, focused beam of energy that shot through the chamber's ceiling and into the sky. "It's calling something," Zara breathed, her academic mind struggling to process what she was seeing. Or someone. The signal continued for exactly 60 seconds before cutting off abruptly. The chamber fell silent, save for the quiet hum of the now active human systems. "Doctor, what have we done?" Crix asked, his scales shifting through a spectrum of worried colors. Before Zara could formulate a response, her ship's communication system crackled to life. Her second assistant, still aboard the Stellar Insight in orbit, spoke with barely contained panic. "Dr. Nexval, something's happening up here." A massive energy signature just appeared at the edge of the system. It's moving toward us at impossible speed." Zara felt her certainty, her carefully constructed understanding of the universe, begin to crack. "Define impossible, Telk." "Doctor, according to our sensors, the object is traveling at..." "This can't be right. It's covering the distance from the system's edge to our position in minutes. That would require faster-than-light travel without using any known jump points or warp corridors." The implications hit Zara like a physical force. No known species had achieved stable faster-than-light travel without relying on predetermined routes or massive energy expenditures. It was theoretically possible, but the power requirements alone. A sonic boom shattered the crystal formations around them as something entered Sirian 7's atmosphere at tremendous velocity. Zara and Crix scrambled outside just in time to see a sleek, angular craft descending toward their position. It moved with a grace that defied its speed, banking and adjusting course with precision that made Confederation vessels look clumsy by comparison. The ship was unlike anything in the Confederation's databases. Its hull seemed to shift and adapt as it descended, surfaces reconfiguring to optimize atmospheric entry. As it touched down just 50 meters from their position, Zara noticed that the landing generated no thrust, no environmental disruption, just a gentle settling that spoke of gravity manipulation technology far beyond her comprehension. "Doctor," Crix whispered, "that's human engineering." Zara wanted to argue, to maintain her skepticism, but the evidence was undeniable. The ship's design, while clearly advanced beyond anything in the historical records, bore the unmistakable hallmarks of human aesthetics: functional, adaptable, and somehow elegant in its purposefulness. A ramp extended from the ship's side with fluid grace. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, with measured steps that seemed to echo across the crystalline landscape, a figure emerged. Zara's analytical mind cataloged the details even as her certainty crumbled. Bikdil, approximately 2 meters in height, wearing a form-fitting suit that seemed to be both armor and environmental protection. The being moved with a casual confidence that suggested complete comfort in Sirian 7's triple gravity, a gravitational force that made even the strongest Confederation species struggle. The figure's helmet retracted with a soft hiss, revealing a face that made Zara's breath catch in her respiratory chambers. Human. Undeniably, impossibly human. "Dr. Zara Nexval," the human said, his voice carrying clearly across the distance between them. The universal translator in Zara's implant processed the words, but she detected subtle nuances that suggested the human was speaking multiple languages simultaneously, a level of linguistic complexity that should have been impossible for any organic brain. "I'm Lieutenant Marcus Chen, Terran Deep Space Command. Thank you for activating the beacon. We've been waiting a very long time for someone to find it." Zara struggled to form words, her usual academic eloquence deserting her. "But humans are extinct. The Starfall event, the Great Silence. Your species vanished over 4 centuries ago." Marcus smiled, and something in that expression made Zara realize that every assumption she'd held about humanity had been catastrophically wrong. Extinct? No, Doctor. We just got very good at hiding. But I think it's time for that to change. He stepped fully down the ramp, moving with that same impossible ease in the heavy gravity. As he approached, Zura noticed details that her academic mind insisted were impossible. The way his muscles seemed to adjust and compensate for the gravitational stress without any visible strain, the slight shimmer around his skin that suggested some kind of energy field, the way his eyes tracked multiple points of interest simultaneously. Your paper on human mythology was quite entertaining, Marcus continued, his tone conversational. Though I have to say, you underestimated us considerably. The legends barely scratched the surface of what we're actually capable of. Zara felt the foundations of her entire academic career crumbling beneath her. This is impossible. The biological limitations alone. Doctor, Marcus interrupted gently, with all due respect to your expertise, you've been studying fragments and myths. Would you like to see the reality? Before Zara could respond, the ground beneath them shuddered. In the distance, one of Sirian 7's massive crystal formations, structures that had stood for millennia, began to crack and fall. The planet's frequent seismic activity was legendary. But this was different. This was catastrophic. Oh dear, Marcus said, checking a device on his wrist. Looks like activating that beacon triggered some tectonic instability. We should probably relocate before. The ground split open with a deafening roar. Cricks screamed as the edge of the newly formed chasm rushed toward them. Zara's wings spread instinctively, but she knew she couldn't generate enough lift in the heavy gravity to carry both herself and her assistant. What happened next would be burned into Zara's memory forever, the moment when mythology became reality before her eyes. Marcus moved faster than any being had a right to in triple gravity. In one fluid motion, he scooped up the much larger cricks, took 3 running steps that covered impossible distance, and launched himself across the widening chasm. He landed on the far side with perfect balance, setting the shocked Thrakeri down gently before immediately turning back. Zara stood frozen on the opposite side of the now 20-meter-wide gap, her wings useless in the heavy gravity, her analytical mind struggling to process what she'd just witnessed. Your turn, Doctor, Marcus called out, and without hesitation, he backed up several steps and ran toward the edge. The human launched himself into the air with a power that defied physics, arcing across the chasm with arms outstretched. He caught Zara in mid-leap, cradling her delicate frame against his chest as they sailed through the air. They landed with surprising gentleness, Marcus's legs absorbing the impact with fluid grace. As he set her down, Zara stared at him with a mixture of awe and disbelief. That's impossible. The force required to achieve that leap in this gravity, the precise muscle control, the energy expenditure. Marcus grinned, and for the first time, Zara noticed that he wasn't even breathing heavily. Doctor, you're about to learn that humans have a very different relationship with the concept of impossible than most species. Shall we continue this conversation somewhere more stable? As if to emphasize his point, another section of ground began to collapse nearby. Marcus gestured toward his ship with casual confidence. I think it's time you met the real humans, Dr. Nexval. The ones your legends only hint at. As Zara followed the impossible human toward his equally impossible ship, her mind raced with questions and shattered assumptions. Everything she thought she knew about the galaxy, about the limits of biology and technology, had been overturned in the span of minutes. The skeptic in her, the part that had built an entire career on debunking human myths, lay in ruins. And for the first time in her academic life, Dr. Zara Nexval found herself eager to be proven wrong. When myths become reality. The interior of Marcus's ship defied every principle of spacecraft design Zara had studied. Where Confederation vessels prioritized efficiency and compartmentalization, this human craft seemed to flow like a living organism. Surfaces adapted to touch, corridors widened, and narrowed based on movement patterns, and the very air seemed to shimmer with responsive nanotechnology. "Welcome to the Persistence," Marcus said, gesturing to seats that materialized from the floor. "She's a deep reconnaissance vessel, designed for extended operations in hostile space." Zara settled into a chair that immediately adjusted to her unique physiology, cradling her wings and supporting her multiple appendages with perfect comfort. Crix, still speechless from their escape, huddled nearby, his scales cycling through nervous patterns. "Your ship," Zara began, her scientific mind latching onto tangible details to avoid confronting the impossible. "It violates several fundamental laws of physics." Marcus smiled as his hands danced over holographic controls that appeared wherever he reached. "Human physics or Confederation physics?" "Physics is physics," Zara insisted. "The laws of the universe are constant." "Are they?" Marcus asked, and the view screen came alive with a display that made Zora's compound eyes widen. It showed Sirian 7 from orbit, but overlaid with energy readings that revealed patterns she'd never imagined. Beneath the planet's crystalline surface lay a vast network of structures, not ruins, but active installations pulsing with power. "Your people knew humans as explorers and diplomats," Marcus explained, manipulating the display to zoom in on specific structures. "You saw our public face, our diplomatic corps, our traders. But humanity has always been adaptable. When the Starfall event hit, when that cosmic disaster threatened to wipe out a third of the galaxy's inhabited systems, we made a choice." The display shifted, showing the familiar star charts of the Starfall event, a catastrophic stellar phenomenon that had destabilized jump points and rendered vast regions of space inaccessible. It had marked the beginning of human disappearance from galactic society. "You didn't die out," Zara whispered, understanding beginning to dawn. "You went underground." "Literally, in many cases," Marcus confirmed. "We had advantages the Confederation didn't know about. Our biology, which your papers dismiss as improbably versatile, allowed us to adapt to environments other species couldn't survive. Our technology, which we kept partially hidden even during our membership in the Confederation, gave us options others didn't have." He gestured to the planetary display. "Sirian 7 was one of our deep sites, a research station studying gravitational manipulation and dimensional folding. When we activated the concealment protocols 4 centuries ago, we left beacons like the one you found. Tests, you might say, for when the galaxy was ready to learn the truth." "But why hide?" Crix spoke for the first time since boarding, his voice trembling. "The Confederation needed you during the crisis. Billions died. And billions more would have died if we revealed our true capabilities then." Marcus interrupted, his expression growing serious. The Confederation was already fracturing. Several species were preparing for resource wars, if they'd known what humanity could really do. He didn't finish the sentence, but Zara understood. Her studies of galactic politics told her exactly what would have happened if a species demonstrated the kind of power she was witnessing. The ship shuddered slightly, and warning indicators flashed across the displays. "Right on schedule," Marcus muttered, his fingers flying over controls. "Doctor, you might want to see this. Your activation of our beacon didn't just call me. It woke up the automated systems across the planet." The view screen shifted to show Sirian 7's surface. Across the crystalline landscape, structures were emerging from underground, not ruins being exposed, but facilities rising with deliberate purpose. The planet's 3 suns glinted off surfaces that looked newly constructed despite their age. "Impossible," Zara breathed, watching as entire complexes unfolded like massive origami. "The energy requirements alone." "Watch your assumptions, Doctor," Marcus suggested gently. "Human power generation works on principles your science hasn't discovered yet. We learned to tap into quantum vacuum fluctuations to harvest energy from dimensional interfaces. What you're seeing isn't impossible, it's just human." As if to demonstrate, one of the rising structures activated, and a beam of pure energy lanced into space, striking one of Sirian 7's moons. But instead of destroying it, the beam seemed to transform it, covering the barren rock with a spreading lattice of construction that glowed with inner light. Atmospheric processors, Marcus explained casually. Give them about 6 hours, and that moon will have a breathable atmosphere. 12 hours, and we'll have a full biosphere. It's a bit rushed, but the templates are adaptable. Zara felt her worldview fracturing like the crystalline structures on the planet below. You're terraforming a moon in hours. That process takes centuries, requires massive colonial efforts. By Confederation standards, yes. Marcus turned to face her fully. Doctor, I need you to understand something. Everything you know about human limitations is based on what we chose to show the galaxy. We learned early that being too capable made other species nervous. As if to emphasize his point, an alarm chimed softly. The view screen split, showing multiple Confederation vessels dropping out of jump space at the system's edge. Zara recognized the distinctive designs: the Thraxian dreadnought, 2 Velnari science vessels, and a full squadron of Cathari interceptors. Your signal was detected, Marcus observed without concern. Standard first contact protocol. They'll send messages, attempt to establish communication, gradually close distance. The Thraxian dreadnought opened fire without warning, launching a full spread of antimatter torpedoes toward the planet. Or not, Marcus amended, his hands moving in a blur over the controls. Hold on. What happened next shattered every military doctrine Zara had studied. The Persistence didn't move to intercept or evade. Instead, space itself seemed to fold around them. The torpedoes, traveling at significant fractions of light speed, simply stopped, frozen in twisted pockets of space-time. Humans, Marcus said conversationally as he worked, have an interesting relationship with conflict. We prefer to avoid it. We'll go to extraordinary lengths to prevent violence. The frozen torpedoes began to move again, but backward, accelerating along their original trajectories until they disappeared into their launch tubes. The Thraxian dreadnought's weapons systems flickered and died. But when conflict is unavoidable, Marcus continued, we prefer to end it quickly. The Persistence finally moved, but not in any way Zora could comprehend. One moment they were in orbit around Sirian 7. The next, they were somehow beside the Thraxian dreadnought, close enough that Zara could see individual hull plates. Marcus opened a communication channel. Thraxian vessel, this is Lieutenant Marcus Chen of the Terran Deep Space Command. Your aggressive action has been noted and neutralized. Power down your remaining weapons, or we will do it for you. The response came in the form of point defense fire, thousands of rounds per second spraying toward the Persistence. They never made contact. The projectiles seemed to lose cohesion meters from the human ship's hull, transforming into harmless dust. I tried to be polite. Marcus sighed. He pressed a single control, and every system on the Thraxian dreadnought went dark. The massive warship, pride of their fleet, drifted powerless. The other Confederation vessels maintained their distance, weapons powered but not aimed. Zara could imagine the chaos on their bridges, commanders trying to process what they'd just witnessed. Doctor, Marcus turned to her. I think it's time you helped us establish proper communications. We're going to need someone the Confederation trusts to explain what's happening here. They won't believe it, Zara said weakly. I don't believe it, and I'm seeing it with my own eyes. They'll believe it, Marcus assured her, because you're going to tell them the truth. Humanity didn't disappear because we were weak. We disappeared because we were too strong. But the galaxy has changed in 4 centuries. Maybe it's ready for us now. He gestured to the communication console. Would you like to introduce the Confederation to the real humans? Before Zara could respond, Crix spoke up, his scales shifting to a pattern she'd never seen before, something between awe and terror. The legends, he whispered. The stories of humans lifting ground vehicles, surviving in vacuum, healing from mortal wounds. They were all true. Marcus nodded. Most were understated, actually. We heal faster than the stories suggest. We can lift more than ground vehicles when necessary. And as for surviving in vacuum, he touched a control on his suit. The helmet flowed away like liquid, and before anyone could stop him, he opened the nearest airlock. Zara screamed as Marcus stepped into the void of space without protection. But he didn't die. He didn't even seem uncomfortable. He floated outside the ship for 30 seconds, his exposed skin showing no signs of vacuum damage, before calmly re-entering and cycling the airlock. "About 3 minutes is my limit without a suit," he said conversationally, as his helmet reformed. "The record is just over 5 minutes, but that requires special preparation." Zara stared at him, her analytical mind finally accepting what her senses had been telling her. Humans weren't legends. They weren't myths. They were something far more terrifying and wonderful. They were real, and they were so far beyond the rest of the galaxy that they'd hidden themselves out of kindness. "Why now?" she asked finally. "Why reveal yourselves after all this time?" Marcus smiled sadly. "Because the Starfall event wasn't natural. We've spent 4 centuries tracking its source, and we found it. There's something coming, Doctor. Something that makes the Starfall look like a gentle breeze. The galaxy is going to need humanity's true capabilities if any of us are going to survive." He gestured again to the communication console. "So, Dr. Nexville, renowned debunker of human myths, would you like to help us save the galaxy again?" As Zara moved to the console, preparing to deliver a message that would reshape galactic civilization, she reflected on the irony. She'd spent her career proving humans were myths. Now, she would spend the rest of it proving that the myths were insufficient to describe the reality. The skeptic had become the believer, and the galaxy would never be the same. She opened the channel to the Confederation fleet, took a deep breath with respiratory systems that evolution had never designed for this moment, and began. "This is Dr. Zara Nexville aboard the Terran vessel Persistence. I am about to transmit data that will challenge everything we thought we knew about humanity. I suggest you prepare yourselves. The humans have returned, and they're nothing like our legends claimed." She paused, watching as Marcus moved to stand beside her, his presence both reassuring and intimidating. "They're far, far more." As the data began to flow, as the truth about humanity spread across the Confederation's networks, as 4 centuries of secrets began to unravel, Zara couldn't help but smile. She built her career on debunking human legends. Now she would build a new one on revealing that reality was stranger than any myth. The age of hidden humanity was over. The age of revealed humanity had begun. And the galaxy would have to adapt to a truth more impossible than any legend. Humans were real. They were back, and they were just getting started.